Welcome to turning a moment into a movement.
Just let the light of mine. I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Just let the light of mine. Just let the light of mine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man. I need to breathe. All I know is trauma. All I know is tickets. All I know is no visit. All I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple of noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? Yeah, you know what it is. And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, doughboy, weak, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, weak. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV. Ooh-wee. Cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.
Hey, greetings, everyone. Welcome to Turning a Moment into a Movement. I am your host, Jay Love. I also represent the Justice for Gerard movement. Gerard is my son who was wrongfully convicted of a crime that he didn't do. And he went to prison, innocent, and went to prison. And because of that journey with Gerard and all the people I met on that journey, created this platform called Turning a Moment into a Movement to come here on Friday to bring awareness about wrongful convictions and to educate our community to understand, all the things that happens that leads to a wrongful convictions and injustice that plagues our communities and neighborhoods. So thank you for joining us. Our mission here is, again, to bring awareness to all that are impacted from the being wrongly convicted, over sentenced, mentally ill, medically frail in our communities, to inspire, organize, and educate all communities about the needs to disrupt systems, policies, patterns of the criminal legal system that leads to wrongful convictions. So I want to also say that thank you guys for watching. That's on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Thank you for joining us this evening. We don't say it a lot or enough, so I just want to thank you for joining us. So we have a great conversation. This is Women History Month, and tonight we're going to honor different women of the movement. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring on the panel and let them introduce themselves. And then we're going to bring on our special guest, who is a powerful woman in the movement herself. So first, hey, Reverend Tia.
Wow, hello, Jay Love. Oh my goodness. I am so excited about our conversation tonight, and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm thankful that you allowed me to walk with you as much as I could with this movement and understanding at a whole new level that change is necessary. And I believe our listeners and viewers are knowing that too today. I am Tia Taylor, the narrative transformer on Instagram, and I am also the founder of The Choice Zone, where your choice matters, and also wear many other hats, which is as a minister, life coach, mama, grandma, you name it. and that's it, okay? Because it's not about me. I know we have a force to be reckoned with today, so I'm so excited about having this conversation.
Yes. So Dr. Clay said they didn't get a notification on Facebook. Probably not, because something, and we noticed it last week, that I think Facebook is messing with us. Really do.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, we didn't get it last week, and it was the same setup this week. So something's going on. Hopefully, that's why we need you guys to subscribe to our YouTube page, because eventually we're gonna have to get off Facebook. So subscribe to our YouTube page, Turning a Moment into a Movement. Go there and subscribe, so you will be notified every time we go live from YouTube. So yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Revertia.
No, I was good. No, we're good. This is perfect. Yeah, because we need to talk about that.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So hey, I see Trisha. Hey, Trisha.
Hey, J Love. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Oh my
Thank you,
goodness.
Trisha. I didn't know if she was gonna allow us to say it, but
no, I'm so sorry if I was unallowed to say that.
No,
Look, I gotta have it saying things I don't have no business saying. But just happy, blessed to be here tonight, and really don't have much to say other than I'm T Duck Wheezy, Trisha Duckworth from Survivor Speak. I want to uplift some wrongful convictions tonight. The Veazey brothers, Mike Lawson, Kenyon Clinton, Tamira Washington, and we can't forget about Crystal Clark. My name is Trisha Duckworth. I'm from Survivor Speak, and I'm excited about tonight's conversation.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Jane. Yes. And we're going to get back to, our wrongful convictions dialogue as well. Just so much been going on in this government stuff. We had to, get some Black liberation coming on it. Have some conversations so we can get ourselves together. But
yeah, we had to pivot for a little pivot.
Right. But we'll be back. We will be back, because I know Miss Diane has some stuff, and also Thelonious went to court last week, and he told me that the judge has to be removed from his case because he was an intern or something in the prosecutor's office. And so, yeah, it came out in the at the hearing last week. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, we're gonna get back there, and we're gonna have him come on so he could talk about it.
Wow.
So, yeah. Leslie.
Hello. Trisha, if you could send me those names, I want to make sure I pray for those individuals as well. I knew about some of them, but you mentioned a couple people I hadn't heard of. My name is Leslie McGraw, and I'm not from Detroit, but but I love it. And so, I live in Ann Arbor, which is well resourced, but we don't actually see those resources, and we're at the bottom of the caste system here in Washtenaw County. So it's not that much different. I was just listening and kind of taking it all in, and I went to a women's career conference today, and I just been thinking about something one of the presenters said, that Black women are often seen as or they're categorized either superwoman or subhuman, so superhuman or subhuman. So, and they either load you up with everything and don't want to hear you say I'm tired, or so, and when even when they don't say it, certain actions connote that they're thinking that we're not deserving of rest and joy and all those things. And I know for me, humor and joy and all those things always coexist within
Yeah.
rage, you know. And so yeah, just thinking about that. And so my just very, very thoughtful about all these, how they all coincide, right? So my great grand uncle, uh Albert Williams, was it wasn't even wrong. He was wrongfully accused of trying to restart the NAACP after they had said you couldn't do, which shouldn't be a crime, anyways. And he was taken from his home at 10 o'clock at night and questioned, and then found 3 days later in the Hatchie River. And there was a whole terror campaign around these 5 people that had registered to vote, or attempted to, anyways. And so I know how ugly America can do us.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that we talk about, but actually it's all the women too. My grandmother never forgot him. His sister, my great grandma, on her deathbed was moaning his name. They never got over that trauma. And so anyway, so that's the mindset I'm bringing tonight,
Yeah.
while I also want to just give a big love letter to everybody, including our featured guests.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Amen.
for so long, the contributions to Black women in dismantling oppressive systems have been overlooked. From Harriet Tubman to Ida B. Wells to the modern day organizings leading movements for justice, Black women have been at the foundation, strategizing, resisting, and reimagining a future free from radical and gender-based oppression. I don't think we talk about that enough. I know I tell Reverend Tia all the time. I say, Reverend Tia, it was a woman that told Martin to tell him about the dream.
That's right.
Because Martin wasn't even about to talk about the dream. Tell about the dream, Martin. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
sometimes,
That's right.
in these movements, we just get overlooked because of the men, the patriarchy. So
Don't
I want
forget
to
about
ask,
Willa Baker and all
yeah,
those women that helped transport people from Bloody Sunday, which is today, to the hospital.
yes.
We was
Mm-hmm.
all in the mix, hand in
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
hand, side step, not behind, not in
Mhm.
front. We was right there.
Yes.
Yes.
So I want to, with that being said, I want to bring on our guest who is a powerful leader in herself. Welcome, Marvina Hayes. Hey, Marvina.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much from allowing me to be here in your space. I want to start off by thanking J Love and turning a movement. I'm sorry. I want to start off by thanking J Love and turning a moment into a movement for hosting this conversation because it means so much to so many leaders like myself who just do the work. Um, and then I want to express gratitude for all of the people who are tuning in because we know it's Friday night and folks could have been anywhere, but they'll rather be here with us. So give a round
Yes.
of applause for all of the folks who are tuning in and receiving this love and these drills that we will be dropping tonight. As
Yes.
most of you know, I'm the founder of Minnesota Wrongfully Convicted Judicial Reform, and I'm also the sister of Marvin Haynes, who was wrongfully incarcerated for 20 years. Minneapolis police kidnapped my brother at the age of 16, and they didn't have any justice for him or my family. I fought to get my brother out of prison and was successful with getting him exonerated just a little over a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just lost my mother about 2 weeks and a couple days ago. But here I am with you guys tonight, bringing heat straight from my heart, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with all of you guys.
Yes. Yay. We so happy. Um, I watched you from here, Michigan, do your thing. When I first saw you, I was like, who is this woman? Because you was out here stumping the yard and for your brother. And then I watched his story and I was like, I have to get to know her. Like, I really, because, you was in this fight a long time. He was like 16 years old. How old is Marvin now?
He's 36 years old. And so it was almost 20 years before my family was able to receive justice. And so my message to everyone who's continuing to fight, don't give up. Surround
Mm-hmm.
yourself in faith and fight for your loved one, because it's not an easy fight, but I'm sure that justice can be served for each and every one of our loved ones. And so hold on to your faith and continue to fight. Um,
Yeah.
and as I started my organization, so as I started to fight for my brother, I seen the need. So at first when it happened, I thought that we were the only family that this has happened to. So I was all the way lost and confused. But as I started to organize, I seen like so many families, and they were like, Marvina, this happened to me too. And then they were like, Marvina, this happened to me too. So then I organized, and that's how I funded Minnesota wrongfully convicted judicial reform. One of the things that we found was that this was a pattern that was happening. Um, and so when you see acts of injustices like this, it's always intentionally, and then there's always more cases. So keeping all that in mind too.
And also, I know this going off the subject a little bit, but with these boycotts that's going on, it brought up like, okay, we're boycotting Target, but Target has a history that's connected to your brother's story and to a lot of wrongful convictions in Minneapolis with their oppressive, systemic um, surveillance of Black neighborhoods. And so, I know we've been talking about, Target rolling back DEI, but Target been on some crap for a minute. And so it's bigger than just them rolling back DEI. They've been on some oppressive systemic crap for a
Yes.
minute.
It is very big because there's cases that's like you said that's directly connected to the money that they were funneling in to be able to do like these studies, these and all of those things. And a lot of the money that they were pulling into the community is what caused the mass incarceration and tip things way over the scale. Right now, I have been looking at other cases. Like one of my clients is Madi Ali, and we were just on the meeting with him tonight. And his case is directly also linked to the Target situation. And you're right, Jay. It's not just about DEI. Target has been embedded in our communities. A lot of us has been shopping there for years, and what they have been doing with with the money that we have been spending, it's taking that money and employing it to the communities to do mass incarcerations, lockups, and um, um, filling up the prison systems.
Mhm.
Basically, that's how my brother got involved in his situation as well. And so those are those patterns and practices that I talk about from the entities. Um, but one of the things I can enjoy is with the George Floyd and all of these things that's happening, it's opening up all of our mind as a race, as a culture. And now we're
Mhm.
we're looking at things differently. So they were able to do us like that then, but we're not going to stand for it no more.
Right. Exactly. I'm not going in no Target. I'm not going. I know it's a 40 days. The 40 days is on right now, but I can stay out of Target
I think the
because,
boycott actually has to be more than 40 days, right? Because the
right.
pain that you're talking about, Jay, that's 20 years prior when
Right.
Marvin was locked up. So
Right.
it's not just a 40-day thing. It's a like, let's shut down Target and never have them, never be another target, because the harm that they have caused, there's no amount of money that they can give to these families whose lives have been ripped apart. And then
Right.
even when you look at the DEI thing, my whole understanding about that is like, they really wasn't spending their dollars that they were earning. The state was sending them money, and that's how they were actually employing black people, and so they were gaining off of that too.
Right. Right. So when you go in here talking about, I saw a lady today, they were interviewing people about, she was like, well, I had to go to Target to get my prescription, and people are making excuses. But, you're paying for your own demise. You're shopping in a place that is totally against you, that's surveilling you, that's more than likely using facial recognition software. And so always surveilling you. And so if you want to go in there and pay for that, that's on you. But I'm going to be intentional with my dollars. And so,
Yeah,
go
and you
ahead.
know what? I just want to add that, Marvina, thank you so much. People miss the fact that the Associated Press also, wrote about Target's practices utilizing the what they call the former Southern slave plantation in Louisiana, Angola, Louisiana. And what they do is they use prison labor for the food at Target. And a lot of times people don't realize what the hidden things. You can't directly link, because if you look up Target and use of prison, prisoners, use of prisoners for, or those incarcerated for free labor, you'll see countless times where they're saying they have a no tolerance for that, which kind of seems really good. However, if you dig a little deeper, you discover that what is hidden is that Target utilizes, they have unmarked trucks packed with prison raised cattle that roll out of Louisiana State Penitentiary, where men are sentenced to hard labor and forced to work for pennies an hour, or sometimes for nothing at all. We have to dig deep and uncover, the realities of what is actually going on, because you got people, and well, we'll go over that later, but I just wanted to say that because I know we've got more guests coming on, so I'm excited about this conversation. Thank you so much.
No, Robertia, this is our opportunity to really put it out there, because it's more than just DEI. It's their behavior. They have a pattern that that's harmful to Black people, period, or people of color. I remember few years back, how they were constantly, snatching up people, accusing them for shoplifting, and going through all that targeting, targeting people and all that crazy stuff that they were doing, until people start filing lawsuits. So Target has always been a target, for us. So we just have to, I just want to reiterate that it's important that we stand up, and we have an opportunity now to do that. And so, make a decision. If you're going to continue with the oppressive behavior and funding it, or you're going to do something else with your dollars. So,
yes, and I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking about with the economic boycott and the Target fast and this and that. What I'm noticing, and a friend and I were talking about it. These were, sprouted out from Black movements, but now our allies have overshadowed the movements, and the problem with that is that when they overshadow the movement, it's no longer about Blackness or about poor people and what's going wrong. It's about whatever's on their radar. And so it's still like, if 10 Black people were wrongfully convicted, linked to target dollars, that is enough for us to make move. We don't need to worry about what allies are worried about. And DI was never about us. DI came, I mean, it was created by us. Shirley Chisholm created that term, or that ideology for gender, for women to get in the door, all women.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's using it as a code word for Negroes. I'm just saying.
Right.
When we talk about it in a negative sense, when they say
Right.
getting rid of all DI, like, you gonna get rid of me?
Mhm.
I already know this is who they talking about. And
Right.
so somehow we have to reclaim our movements and our boycotts and everything. So I've been lazy and just like popping the memes out, whatever. Oh no, this day. And I said, no, I need to write it out. Why we are boycotting. Not just, oh, we're gonna do a Target fast because they don't have a Black History section. No, we're targeting boycott. Like J Love sent me, or she shared information about, and I didn't know to the extent of, the surveillance and the facial recognition and such. And so I was like, oh wow, that's more than, I was already mad at them. So that's, I was already mad, but I was like, okay, well, they can redeem themselves, but this is more than a quick redemption. And
Oh
so
yeah.
we have to reclaim, like, why are we there? And I see these people, that's my issue I had with the women's marches, because we were stepping in, and we're talking about we need basic civil rights, and they over here talking about, they want to, something totally different. They want to be able to wear green hair in the workplace, whatever it is. Because like, how do we reclaim that? So thank you for both. How do I say it? Is it Marvina or Marvina?
It's Marvina. My brother is Marvin, and I'm Marvina with the A. So
Yeah,
it's Marvin with the A.
I got a sneaky suspicion your daddy's name is something like Marvin.
Yeah, that's exactly his name.
I got an Uncle Vernal, and he named what is it? Vernal, and the other one is Vernaline.
That's that down south stuff. We
It
came
is.
from. Yes.
Yeah, but to your point, like, I don't know, you said your clients, so how many people do you think are affected, if you had to guess?
I'm not really sure on the number of exactly, but what I do know is that when all of this stuff was happening, the prison system doubled by 200%.
What?
Wow.
And so, yes. So that was a big jump. And every time we see things like this, they normally come out with these studies. What we found when we did our investigation, it seemed like every 20 to 30 years where they just do this whole mass incarceration. And I think that's maybe because what we have been seeing was, so if they pick up Marvin them at the age of 16 and they take all of them and give them 20 to 30 years. By 20 or 30 years, most of them are starting to be released. And so now they have to come into the community and wrap up a whole new group of people to continue to keep their the
Business.
yeah.
Keep slaves.
Yes.
So they need to bring in another cycle of slaves to keep the business running, whatever they're creating, whoever is the person, the corporation or whatever that they're supporting. They need some new slaves. So, which is crazy. And then this corporation is funding the slavery, and then we can't wait to get up in there. That's crazy work.
But I think a lot of times is the reason why it seemed like we can't wait to get in there, because we are still conditioned
Mm-hmm.
mentally. And then so because they kidnapped all of us, we still don't actually know our culture, and so we have adopted American culture, and we think that we need to do all of these things to provide, and a lot of it is because of the poverty that we are all forced to live in. um
Mm-hmm.
and when you see people making choices, it's because they want to be able to feed their family too. um
Mm-hmm.
but the system has could the system has made it so hard for people, and it has always been hard. But one of the things that I want to ask our Black people who's watching, how did we become so dependent on the system? We let these folks pay for our medical. We let these folks pay for our kids' schooling. We let these folks give us pennies to be able to feed our children. And so, how did our culture become so dependent on the system when I was a little girl? My aunties and my neighbors and my mother, they all worked together, and I was able to go to my neighbor's house after school, go to the library after school,
Yeah.
get so comfortable to end up here.
Yeah, we
Um,
talk about that when, you know, I think the pain of coming out of Jim Crow and some of the hard things that, we went through as a people, when that Civil Rights Act got signed, for a lot of people, it was like a sigh of relief, right? And then they went into the 70s. I was just talking about this other day. I was born in 74. I wasn't getting these kind of lessons in my home. We stopped passing down the lessons. We stopped talking about it. And I get why, because it was too painful. My mom's dad, he shot the TV when Roots came on. It's too painful. So we don't talk about that. They're just gonna move forward. We just get by the best way we can, and that's the worst thing that we could have ever done, because in that we lost culture, we lost ourselves, and we continue to assimilate into whiteness. And the more we assimilated into whiteness, the more that we lost ourselves. So now you look at our youth, what's going on? You have a generation of people that don't know who they are. We think it started at slavery. That's what they want to tell us. Not understanding we were the first people that were in this entire world. These type of lessons, though, are not being taught. And why? Because the way that you keep a people down is by not allowing them to know who they are. And unfortunately, that is not up to them. That is up to us. A lot of these things, and I said this before, I preached a message. It's called "It's Not My Fault, but It's My Responsibility." It's not my fault. It's not our fault that we landed in this situation. That is systemic measures that made sure that we were in these positions where we didn't thrive. But we are kings. We are queens. Thriving is our birthright. Thriving is who we are. So we must step into that royalty and understand that, and then begin to teach these lessons. Because they're not being taught. They're taking it away from the schools, of course, but they could never take it away from us. So it's on us to teach us.
right. I looked that. I'm sorry, Leslie. I was watching a video of Representative Al Green, and they were, silencing him. And afterwards, they were singing this, "We Shall Overcome." And I'm like, it's 2025, and we still singing "We Shall Overcome." And it wasn't even an uplifting "We Shall Overcome." It was just a tired "We Shall Overcome."
Negroes.
I'm not singing it no more. I'm not singing it. I'm not singing about overcoming, and I'm not holding hands singing Kumbaya. Those are the two things I'm not going to do no more.
I needed them to say, like, they're not like us.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I need them to get it together, because of their mindset and how they operate is why we're here right now.
Well, they did the best that was available. We did not have the same spending power 60 years ago. Let's be for real. Like, we just didn't have it. We're almost $2 trillion of spending power now. We spend it and we ain't getting none of it back. None of it stays in our community. And there's a lady, I heard she said that her 94-year-old father was saying, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We survived all of this and this and that, all that he's been through his 94 years. And she said, she listens to him and she's encouraged, but also she's thinking like, but I don't want to just survive. We have the ability to thrive.
Right.
We have the tools.
That part.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Spending is our superpower.
Exactly. And if you look at it, yes, they didn't have $1 trillion, but they had a whole lot. And that is why they wanted to promote integration, because they knew that our dollars were very long. They knew that our dollars were sustaining them. And so how could they, get us to break our own structure, our own schools, our own hospitals, our own businesses, our own theaters? How could they do that? Oh, come over here where the table is spread and the feast of the Lord going on. They always was using that Bible to lure us in to assimilation, right? But we have to take back. Again, this is where the lessons come in at. I'm not standing up here quoting because I ain't know this shit either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning it, and as I learn it, I will continue to teach it. So we have to be intentional about all of this, our spending, our lessons, we got the power. They did it once before to a certain extent. We dropped the ball, and now it's time for us to pick it back up. It's not a reproach against anybody. I understand why they didn't do, but it don't matter because it left generations after them suffering. So am I going to be like, oh my God, yes, I understand, but damn it, that hurt us. And we have to acknowledge where we've been in order to get a clear picture of where we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes,
And I like this conversation because we're not wanting. We got to get to a point where we don't want to assimilate. But how do you do that? How do you pick up where you were? How do you pick up that knowledge? And that takes some research, but do it and get back to some of the basics. Find out who you are. That's how come the greatest knowledge is self-knowledge. Know thyself. Know you. How do you know you? Know your ancestors. Go back. Do some research and find out what was the value, what was the culture, what was it that you stand upon. And what is surprising is that a lot of that is you innately. It is you, and you don't even realize it. But once you do the research and you uncover these truths, and then stop trying to be like other people. And it's time for us to have our own. It's time for us to say, let's use this opportunity to build our community back.
Yeah.
Because, and this is the thing. There was a point when it didn't matter where you came from around the globe. It didn't matter what part of Africa. It didn't matter Haiti. Once you were here, you were one. And I like how Minister Clay said religion, and so did Trichet, was a divide. It divided us in to the point where we stopped wanting for us collectively in order to serve a doctrine.
Yes.
And we got to say, where did we fall short? Where did we fall short? Like Trichet said, let's be accountable on all levels, but then let's heal. Let's be accountable and let's heal. And I remember Jay said, this is healing time. And it's true. It's not time for me to forgive anymore. I love forgiveness. I'm all about forgiveness. But I think we do really well with forgiveness. I think now it's time for us to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for us to set some healthy boundaries. You can't keep, I'm not the battered woman type. So I'm not masochistic. Okay. You hit me one time. Be very careful. I'm coming back.
There's a song. What was it? Try Jesus, not me.
Right.
Yes, I know. And that, me and Leslie talked about this last week, call to action. And what Reverend Tia said is like, we'll bring it back up at the end, but one of our call actions is, it's time for us to heal. It's time for us to take care of ourselves. It's time for us. I mean, we've been on the front line, and we're going to talk about a few of these women that have been on the front line and been one that Leslie brought up, Ella Baker. She was on the front line. I got a video. Let me get to it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was one of the women that were on the front line of the movement. Let's see, where is she? Here she is.
Friends, brothers, and sisters in the struggle for human dignity and freedom, I am here to represent the struggle that has gone on for 300 or more years, a struggle to be recognized as citizens in a country in which we were born. I have had about 40 or 50 years of struggle, ever since a little boy on the streets of Norfolk called me a nigger. I struck him back, and then I had to learn that hitting back with my fist one individual was not enough. It takes organization. It takes dedication. It takes the willingness to stand by and do what has to be done when it has to be done. A nice gathering like today is not enough. You have to go back and reach out to your neighbors who don't speak to you. And you have to reach out to your friends who think they are making it good and get them to understand that they, as well as you and I, cannot be free in America or anywhere else where there is capitalism and imperialism until we can get people to recognize that they themselves have to make the struggle and have to make the fight for freedom every day in the year, every year, until they win it. Thank you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She's the bomb.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Trisha.
And I think this is the problem. People don't talk like this anymore. We do a lot of hemming and hawing, and we shall overcome it. And I'm just, can we get over this magical Negro face? It has just been so harmful to us. And then when people like this speak out, we see how they are done. We see how they are ostracized, but we have to become one band, one sound. Yeah. We have to all speak the same thing. We have to all stand in solidarity. This is the same message. We can't turn the channel on one another because we got a habit of doing that as Black folks, taking sidebar meetings and moving away from the vision of the collective so that we can build individual power. It's not about individual power anymore. It's about the power of the collective. And we need everybody to stay focused on that.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right.
That's right, sister. The power of the
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I just wanted to give some facts about Miss Ella Baker. Um, she was a pivotal figure in the American civil rights movement. She was a tireless activist, strategist, and organizer who played largely between the scenes of empowering grassroots leadership. Baker played key roles in the civil rights organizations, including the NAACP, the Christian Leadership Conference, and the Students Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. She
Mm-hmm.
believed in bottom up leadership rather than charismatic top down approaches. All right. She championed participatory democracy, empowering ordinary people, especially Black youth and women, to take control of their own struggles for justice. Her philosophy can be summed up in her famous quote: strong people don't need strong leaders.
Mm.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah. So good.
When so what was it? This is all just coming to me. What was it, like a week or two ago? There was the NAACP Image Awards. We was talking about, like, we weren't taught all these things. I learned them young, but not from in my household. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
my mama didn't know. Um, and so I looked at it, and I was I was disappointed because I like the weigh-ins. I like Dave Chappelle. I like the key and ha ha ha, all of it. But there are some key awards that they chose and they continue to choose not to air on the main event stage. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? How that affects. There's a woman, Mildred Brown Roxborough, who her father worked with my uncle Albert in the NAACP down in Tennessee. She's still alive. She's 98 years old, and they dedicated an award to her. And the award was won by Jatoka. I want to say her name right. Joteka Edie, who started the Black Win with Black Women movement, which got like 44,000 people on there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she she won that award. It was beautiful. So there are two women that are doing major work, and they didn't get any airtime. Hazel Dukes just died, 92 years old, still in the fight. She was fighting all last year at 92. We don't we don't put them up, but we know everything. And we know everything about what Zoe Saldana wore and blah 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 at the Oscars. How do we uplift people who are doing that? Because it hit me when it says strong people don't need strong leaders. Because I hear that all the time, like, we don't have a leader, no, we don't have nobody strong leadership.
Mm-hmm.
We can govern ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. We can. I think we need to restore. Um, I'm just going to say this. It's a great amount of low self-esteem that will continue through a people in order to oppress another culture continuously. And so for you to oppress someone, then it's just like the bully. You got you got some issues. You need some help. There's something that's running through your veins that or in your DNA that means that's telling you you're not enough. If in order the only way you can make it is to oppress somebody else, then I question your self-esteem. I question your intelligence after so many years. If you 400 years and you can't turn it around. In fact, you want to go back to a certain era. I question your ability to evolve towards humanity,
Mm.
which means You haven't made much stride. You know, it's like when you run in track, you want to have a PR, you want to have your personal best. Where's your personal best? You haven't gotten there yet. You haven't gotten to the personal best. You're not trying even to go there anymore. And so it's okay for you to go back. It's okay. When you go back, then there must be mentally a type of retardation that is going on where you cannot move forward and walk in love or walk in peace or collaborate with someone other than the person who looks similar to you. You are today. So going according to the color of somebody's skin, and you lack intelligence. So we need to know this. You know, just because you have a lot of money does not make you intelligent.
Not at all.
And we got to stop, of course, following that money.
I like what Amithia said. We honor these women by keeping their names and movements progressively alive. Yes.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm thinking, like, what can, you know, I guess I'm posing this too, you know, Marvina and everybody, because we do have social capital. Like, that's a major award. You know, I've always looked to the NAACP Image Awards. That's how I learned about people when I was a little girl. That and Jet Magazine, and they're not doing that either. Like, they forgot us too, is what I was saying. They forgot us too. How do we get that? How do we get that?
Because we're so easily entertained.
Yeah, it's all about being entertained. Everybody want to be a player. Nobody wants to be the owner of the team. You know?
Yeah, well, that's what's lifted. You know, that's what is lifted up in the culture. Everybody wants to be on stage. Everybody wants to tap dance and be famous.
You know, even with the... Oh, go ahead, Marvina.
Are you sure, Jay? You can go before me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. One of the things I want to do is challenge the audience to move beyond just listening to us and take action. We need you guys to take action and get grounded in liberation, your boots on the ground, and join into this movement. Also want to encourage organizations and anyone else that's listening to uplift our stories and demand change for all women who are in the movement and who have been in the movement, for the system to find grace and peace and to uplift these stories and highlight the work, because most of this all of it is rooted behind a Black woman. And we carry it all on our back. Black women are the movement, and together we will all win. So
yes. And you know, like you said, Marvina, follow Black women-led movements. Trisha, your movement. You know, there's other movements out here that are Black women-led. You know, if you want to uplift these voices, join us. I want to bring this that point through by playing this video of Angela Davis.
We don't really, we aren't really informed about the conditions under which that particular leadership developed. And we assume that because there was someone called Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he appeared on the scene in Montgomery, he was the Messiah, and this whole movement developed. I mean, that's what I call the Messiah complex in terms of our notions of leadership, right? And it seems to me that the greatness of Dr. King resided precisely in his capacity to learn his leadership abilities, to acquire his leadership abilities from the people who had organized that movement, to listen to them. And as a matter of fact, most people don't even know that it was a group of black women who organized the Montgomery bus boycott. Most people haven't heard of the name Joanne Robinson, even though she wrote a book called The Montgomery Bus Boycott and the Women Who Started It. Because that messes with the paradigm, right? You're supposed to think that it's these great, heroic male leaders who are the motors of history. And how could you possibly measure up to someone like that? And what you don't realize is that the real work happened long before Dr. King ever thought of associating himself with those struggles. As a matter of fact, you know why he ended up being the spokesperson? Because all the black ministers in Montgomery had been involved in, all of these confusing debates, and there were contradictions, and you couldn't ask this one because you know how ministers, some of you know how ministers, right? Those of you from Sacramento. And so the idea was to choose this young man who had just arrived in town and who hadn't had an opportunity to get embroiled in all of the debates and who really didn't know very much anyway, which isn't to say young people don't know very much. They do. They know a great deal. But he was considered to be the easiest choice. And so basically the women selected Dr. King as the spokesperson for the work that they were doing. Now, this isn't the history that we learn, is it? I mean, we don't know about Joanne Robinson, who taught at Alabama State University and was the chair of the Alabama Women's Political Association, how she and the members of her organization were trying to start a boycott. They had planned that. And they had tried on several occasions. And then finally, when Rosa Parks got arrested, and Rosa Parks was an organizer. She wasn't a tired woman. And I say this because that was really unglamorous work. It's work that we would not necessarily think about as being that significant. But that was what helped to create that movement. If they hadn't stayed up all night, if they hadn't worked that mimeograph machine, if they hadn't gotten people to go out and to distribute all of those leaflets like at 6 o'clock in the morning when people, particularly when people who were domestic servants were getting on the bus, it never would have happened. I mean, I'm not saying that the struggle for civil rights wouldn't have happened, but it wouldn't have happened in the way that it did. And it's a very different story. It's a story about people just like you. It is not a story about heroic individualism. And it's a story about the erasure of women's contributions. And so I could talk about other movements as well. I could talk about the Chicano movement, Latino movements, American Indian movement, the Asian American movements, and I could talk about the contributions that women made to those movements during my time in the late 60s and the 70s that will be lost if we don't figure out how to rectify the tendency to tell history in this way that privileges heroic individualism. And keep in mind, I'm going to be using individualism for the rest of my talk. Because it's dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. And we have somebody in Washington who assumes that that is the meaning of freedom.
So much. I don't know if she did that 40 years ago, 20 years ago, or yesterday. Is still the same.
Yes. The women of these movements, I kind of heard that story that Dr. King was picked, but I didn't know it was the women who picked them.
Ella Baker was one of the ones who said that he should be the leader. Yeah, because he was young and fresh and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, because anybody couldn't have did what he did, not because just because of the way he spoke. You gotta remember, he was jailed 29 times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not everybody had a situation where they was willing to get it out of jail and all that for the movement. Yeah.
Right. You had to be young.
You have to be. Yeah, I know. I couldn't take myself. Like I had one time I got fingerprinted, and I almost fainted. They held me up while I put my fingerprint on it. I know I'm not for this life. I know I'm not.
Me and Trisha was down there at up there at where we was at just recently. We was at
the rally with Freedom Ain't Free at the new county building or whatever over there.
The county jail. Out there protesting, and you know they was being kind of ridiculous, and I'm like, hey, I don't.
Man, look, I pushed them, and I kept walking. They was like, "No, you can't walk there." I guess I can. This and that, and I mean, I'm just going. Oh my God, I acted.
You went live that day because I saw you. I said she done got into trouble today.
I was acting so ugly, and you better go. I ain't standing nowhere. I got the right to be here. Blah blah blah. When I seen that joker pull his thing back with them handcuffs, I stood on the other side. Well, all right. I'll stand over here only because I don't want to be in jail for Thanksgiving.
But no, they had to get somebody.
But let me tell you, this is what I mean about the games they play. I knew my rights. They told them after it was over, oh, well, we just don't like people doing that right there. So your like of what you like trumps what state law is. It's a law.
Mm-hmm.
They're lawless. And they don't like when you know your rights. And so because I was quoting it to him, and he was like, well, can you call a lawyer? I said, I am not calling nobody for you to know the law. You're supposed to know that. Telling me to get somebody on the phone from ACLU. I'm like, man, I'm not getting nobody on the phone. You know, like, and I really wanted to take that stance, and I did weigh out whether or not I wanted to go to jail because I'm sick of this shit.
I understand.
You get tired of it. How you gonna tell me something and it's not right? You lying. And then to find out you lied, which I know you lied, because I know my rights. That's what we gotta do. It says, tell us what to do. Pastor said, right? We gotta know our rights and we gotta stand on them 10 toes down. And we gotta do it together, and we can't be scared. That's the problem. A lot of Black folks scared. So they hang their head and they just accept whatever it is that is being done to us because they are scared. And I get it. I understand, but when I'm telling you something, that's where your faith come in, that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And every lying tongue that rises up against us in judgment shall be condemned. That's when you got to speak the word over your own life. And I'm not standing in my own strength, because I would have been, look, you see what my own strength came. I got out the way because I wasn't going to go to jail. I was, when he pulled them handcuffs back, okay, I did what he said. But we got to stand on truth.
I know.
We got to stand in love. But we got to stand 10 toes down. That's the only way to fight this. We're not going to be able to do it cowering down like we've been doing. We're not going to be able to do it with that magical approach. Look where it got us.
Yeah. I tell you.
Whew.
And if we don't see, things are happening now that people are not vocal about. And we have come a long way. But now, because of through policy changes now, things aren't the same.
Right.
And they've already started in South Carolina. where they executed a man by fire squad.
I saw that. And do you know it cost them $53,000 to create a special inside room to kill this one man?
One man. And 5 states have now the death penalty method of firing squads. Yes, as an option. This came from Armethea, sends me information. So I want to give a shout out to Armethea. Thanks, Armethea.
But Trump said he was going to bring that back
Yeah,
as a choice.
he's doing everything he said. We need to be about it. Then what are we saying?
What are we saying? And what we stand behind our word, like he's standing on business on his, right?
Right.
Right.
Idaho he said he was going to bring fire squads back. He said he was going to change a lot of this stuff to federal. So, and we talked about it. We talked about absolute immunity. We talked about, Project 2025. We rolled it out, right? And so now we live in it, right? This is our reality right now. So we all have nothing to lose. We all have nothing to lose. Why not stand up? Why not? Yeah. Why not? So our next woman. And so this one I just learned about recently, and some of you guys might. It's two. I was like, this is good because we could bring up people, uplift women voices that we probably never heard of, and bring forth that history. So here's another one that's a pretty awesome lady.
I love history.
A Black female abolitionist.
You guys are young. The future is yours. In the words of Khalil Gibran, you live in the house of tomorrow, which I cannot enter, not even in my dreams.
The woman you see on your screen is none other than Elaine Brown, former Black Panther Party leader and one of the most prominent activists this country has ever seen.
My name is Elaine Brown. I was born in Philadelphia. I am now 81 years old.
How does it feel being 81?
Well, it just feels as though life went by it was a shorter ride than I thought. Then I look over the things that have happened and that I've done and been engaged with, and it seems an eternity. Being 81 allows me to reflect on life and the meaning of it, and the meaning of my own life, but also, life itself. Because as we face the end, and it gets, as Willie Brown says, we get the line gets shorter, then we have to come to grips with the fact that we don't have the long-term plan anymore. And so you've learned a lot, but there's a lot more to learn. You've seen a lot, but there's a lot more to see. But then you think, I don't know if I'd want this to go on forever and ever. I go to watch with this woman. She introduced me to the girls. This is Miss Brown, and she's going to be teaching you piano. Isn't that exciting? Say hello, and they're like, hello, Miss Brown. And I looked at them like, they're looking at me as though I represent some type of hope. I don't represent any hope for them. Piano lessons is not going to help them. They need something more than that. Look how they got these little cheap dresses on, live in this terrible community, don't have anything going for them. They're poor. I know what they need. I know what they need because I know them. I know them because I am them, and I forgot. At that moment, it's like the moment that Christians say they want to embrace Jesus. Or as the Chinese talk about Fang Sheng, or a word like that, where you have this transformative moment and you can never unknow now what you now know. And it's something so big you can never ignore it. And those little girls sparked something in me that said, I do know now what has been my confusion, my pain. It really was never just mine, it was ours. And that's when I said, okay, what do I do about it? I don't know. But that certainly sparked in me the commitment that I had to do something about it, ultimately joining the Black Panther Party.
Wow. So I have a little
I
bit
don't
of
know her.
okay, I'm going to bring you some stuff about her. Miss Elaine Brown. She was an activist, writer, former leader of the Black Panther Party. She became the party's chairwoman from 1974 to 1977, making her the first and only woman to lead the organization. Her role in the Black Panther Party, she joined in 1968 in Los Angeles, inspired by her focus on self-defense and Black liberation community programs. Worked on the Panther newspaper, helped organize community survival programs, including free breakfast programs, health clinics, and educational incentives. Became the chairwoman after Huey P. Newton went into exile in Cuba in 1974. During her leadership, she prioritized political activism, strengthening the Panthers' influence in Oakland politics, helped establish the Oakland Community School, a revolutionary school for Black children, faced internal sexism. Many male members resisted her leadership, of course. She later described the party internal culture as deeply patriarchal, which contributed to her departure in 1977. In 1990, she became an advocate for prison reform and justice for incarcerated people. She wrote her memoirs, A Taste of Power, a Black woman's story, which detail her experiences in the Black Panther Party. Remains an activist, funding organization focused on prison reform and youth empowerment and radical justice. Elaine Brown leadership and legacy highlighted the crucial role of Black women in revolutionary movements, even in spaces where they had to fight for recognition. And I also think that she's also, she raised some money, a lot of money in California, and started a low-income housing. I think she built like a high-rise. I think that happened last year.
Wow. So, she's still working.
Yes.
Still working. But I like that you showed that, and showing that the difficulties come sometimes, many times, all the time, from our own people.
Absolutely.
Where we have the stigma, where we have the prejudice within ourselves, within our own community, where this woman was a great leader, but we didn't want her to lead. Why? Because she was a woman. Because she made a statement that things were too patriarchal, because you don't want to involve women, because you don't want to see the essence of woman. And so we did this to ourselves. Like Trisha said, it's time for us to take accountability for us. What are you going to do? Because we're at a time where our education is going to depend on us. Our education, how we educate our youth, we already know what we want to provide not only in the home, but in our educational system. Our children are not learning history. They're learning his story. They're learning a story that's not even based on facts. It doesn't include everybody. They're learning a narrative. They're not learning true history, true world history. If they had true history, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because they would see us, because we have always been and will always be.
Yeah, think about too how our youth have to see what they can be. And so this is why this is so important. I think about, as a youth, if I could have seen something like this, I may have made my way into my giftings, or why understanding why I was born a little bit sooner, because I would have seen that example. Mm-hmm. I always was who I was, and I didn't always use it for the right thing, right? I had to stumble into right, through trial and error. But just think about what these lessons can do for our youth, how we're to empower them through understanding who we are as a people. Who this lady is 81 years old, still working. Still, we need these examples so that people can understand, yes, you can stand 10 toes down. And then I just want to speak to this because it's very important that we talk about this in the role of Black women. Some of my hardships in this movement, some of the greatest hardships and challenges that I have had have been our brothers, our own brothers. And it's the hardest thing ever because I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that I'm thinking, well, I thought we all wanted the same thing. Why does it matter whether, because at the end of the day, I didn't ask to lead. God set me in this seat. And I tell people all the time, if you got a problem with it, you're going to have to take it up with God. But why do we have to treat our women with such disrespect in this movement? Such denial and delusion around the foundation of this movement and who started a lot of these movements? We cannot let our sisters' voices die in vain. And it is not to gloat, say, oh, look what women did. No, but it's to tell the truth. It's to make sure that we're telling the proper story. There are young girls that need to know that they can be empowered to stand 10 toes down. And we got to make sure that we can pass these lessons on so they can do it.
I agree. To kind of piggyback on what Touche was just lifting up. That's I was that's what I was trying to articulate around the NAACP Image Awards. We can't let opportunities like that go to the wayside. We had, like you say, there are people that are still alive and with us that won awards. I mean, we had some wonderful women and men, but we chose to use that hour and a half of live TV time to only focus on singers and comedians, you know what I'm saying? And ball players. We could have used some of that time. The only person that was not in entertainment was Kamala. She spoke for a couple minutes. Other than that, everybody was entertaining as opposed to the authors. How are we going to get that message out? Yeah, we can come here every Friday and that's fine. Roland Martin can talk about stuff, whatever. But we need, for our children to see it with the same value, we have to demand, when we do have social capital like the whatever, the Essence or the NAACP awards or whatever it is, we have to demand better. We get enough entertainment. We have enough entertainment. We can balance it out. And also thinking about, just, yeah, some of the opposition. I wouldn't say, well, for me, it's women and men. It's just internal. We have so much internal oppressors, gays, but then this kind of battle or whatever it is between men and women, like we're in the same struggle. I don't know where that's coming from, but it's long. It's long. When I saw that from Elaine Brown, I immediately thought about Ida B. Wells Barnett, who, she was wrote out a lot of times. Was it Carver G. Woodson who created the Negro History Week? He wrote himself, and what did Angela Davis said? Heroic something, individualism. He wrote himself as the father of Negro history. Ain't nobody called him that. He called himself that. He called himself the father of Negro history, and then had a big old ball to talk about all the people who had done stuff and everything, and purposely did not invite Ida B. Wells, who was there getting it out the mud right with him, going to lynching sites in Tulsa, everywhere. She was purposely not invited, and they pulled a fast one and her daughter got her in, and she was there. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall back in whatever that was. See his face fall to the floor. But these kind of dynamics are not new, but we can face it a different kind of beast now. We gotta work together.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree, Leslie. I think the beast is has the same foundation, you know, and we got to redefine success. We are in a point on the pinnacle, really, that's what we have to do. We got to redefine success, the meaning, the definition of success for us. And we need to comprehend when we have what we call a colonized mind. Got that from Transformer Love Community under Reverend Cher. Did a whole series on the colonized mind. What does that colonized mind look like? You know, and that means that what characteristics have we taken on from the colonizers, from the slave owners? Yes, Trisha, post-traumatic slave disorder. Yes.
Shout out
What
to
have
Dr.
we
Big
taken
Bruce.
on? What have we taken on? And when it comes to, and let's just think about just things. If you're abusive to women, oh yeah, you following that master. You're following that slave master. If you're abusive to women, if you talk down to children, if you feel that women are less than and that they are only supposed to make children or just be your sex person, sex toy, you're taking on that mindset. If you are just wanting to be entertained and wanting to be the person who is providing the entertainment for people, you have taken on that mindset. I mean, it is because if we don't begin to redefine success. So when I was younger, my father would say, "What is success?" And we would have to respond and say, "Doing what you want to do, being who you want to be." And or we would say, "Doing what God wants you to do, being who God wants you to be." And so it was not based upon this world system. It's not based upon the economic system. So then our gaze is not towards, if you have a lot of money, then you can be my leader. No, because the colonizer, the colonizer comes to a place and says, "This land is mine, and you need to worship me. You need to follow in line with me." The colonizer has the individualized mindset. The colonizer wants to go over to other lands, even right now, and put up statues and what? The same message. Same message. It's over 400 years later, same message. Worship me. We got to wake up. We got to wake up because I don't care how people twist it.
I was thinking
The woman
about
brings forth people.
right.
We bring forth. Remember that.
I was thinking about Mammy Till, Emmett Till's mother.
Yes.
She was a big part of the movement too, because when they killed Emmett, she set it off because she said, "Hey, no, I want you to open up this casket," because they had buried him. Yeah. They had took her son because they probably couldn't stand to look at it their own self, and they had buried him. And she got her son back up here, and he was decomposing and he was smelling. I was reading about, you could smell him blocks away from the funeral home. It was that bad, the stitch of it. And when she got there, they tried to say, "No, Mammy, you don't want to, she like, "No, I want to see my son." And when they opened up that casket, she made a decision. I want everybody to see my son. I want everybody to see what they're doing. And so until her death, she was fighting for her son exoneration and, putting this story out because they washed it down from the beginning to the end. And that lady died when it's finally, she was still living, undercover, her little life, until that story came out, and they started investigating it, or whatever. I think the next year she passed away. But, we have to be strong in these movements, and we have to stand up, because if we don't, our stories die, or they change. And so that's one of our call to action. Like, stand up in your story, control your own narrative. Don't let nobody else do. That's why we created this, because we didn't want other people to tell our story. I didn't want nobody else to tell the story of my son, who I had to tell his story, because the state of Michigan was telling a whole nother story that wasn't even true. So we have two more, I think we want to play right quick. But what we're talking about the history, I saw this lady and I was like, yes, we had to tell the story. And then I'm gonna, she's a journalist. You guys may know her. And then Nicole Hannah Jones.
This is why they ban our history. They ban our history because Black history by definition is political.
That's right.
Because Black people, by definition, are political, right? Our history is political because every story of American greatness, every story of American exceptionalism you want to tell, here we are off to the corner. Say, how do you explain us?
That's right.
If all this is true, why are we here? If all this is true, how do you explain how you suppressed our rights for 350 years? How you bought and sold our ancestors? How you claim to be democratizing Europe, but denying violently democracy for Black people here. So we're the most inconvenient people to the story of American exceptionalism.
Right.
So they want to ban our history because we give lie, right? We reveal the lie of this country.
Right.
And we are heroes of that story. So what the research shows is that when you teach Black children Black history, they do better academically.
Absolutely.
This is not shocking.
That's right. It's right.
Right? If you see yourself in the story, then you have a powerful sense of who you are. Sure. And I know, this is why they ban our history, because once I got a little taste of Black history, I became incorrigible as a student. I was challenging everything, right? I would go up in social studies like, where are we? Why aren't you talking about this? What about this, right? And so all of a sudden, you don't just accept.
Yes.
Yes. My fourth grade teacher couldn't stand me. She couldn't stand me.
Yes, when you don't know who you are, you get dumbed down. You're dumbed down. But when you're like get a taste of it, you want more and more and more, and it empowers you. So I was feeling her on that. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. We got dumbed down. We got pushed to the side. Other things became important. And even to us, as other things came important. We wanted to do this. We wanted to work at, we was working at the plant 10, 12 hours. We was doing all these different things, and we kind of got away from who we are. And then when that happened, people started taking advantage of us. So now we're resting and we're getting back to it, because look where we are again. We singing that sad we shall overcome. The sad version of it.
Yeah. That's why I got into a back and forth with our local a couple local groups last year, because it was like a big heavy thing about messaging, and they wanted to have this message about don't you know what you could lose? Don't you know that you could have fascism, and don't you know this, whatever, and like we could lose our democracy. And I was like, don't you know that Black people know fascism more than anybody else in this country? Don't you know that Black people are the only set of people that challenge? That's why I was like, that was on point. Challenge what we call a democracy. We made the Constitution a thing. We made the court sing. That we was back and forth to the Supreme Court. We made them a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Nobody care about all that. You know, Congress, we made it. We forced them to say, okay, where are your values? They had to clarify things because of us.
Yeah.
And all the other movements, disability movements, women's lib movements, you know, immigrant movement, all of those came off of our movements.
Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
so you can't come to the same people and say, oh, you don't know what's at stake. Well, maybe we don't, but you ain't gonna be the one to tell us. We gotta
That
do
right
it
there.
our way. Yeah.
Oh, we know. We was telling you.
That part. That part. I don't know if I got it from somebody's page. It was or somebody sent it to me. It was a picture of the world on fire. And Black women were on top of this building just sitting there drinking coffee.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I could never just sit here and watch the world blow without doing something.
Right.
But I felt that. Ooh, I felt that. Because the onus of freedom always been on our back. Always been on our back. Yet we at the bottom of the caste system, up under everybody, right?
Supposedly.
It's like, you know, that's why we got to know who we are, know whose we are, and then just walk in that thing. I'm telling you, it's such a power in walking more and more into who you are. I don't know the fullness thereof for me. And I tell you what, though, I ain't where I used to be. And I'm grateful for where I'm headed. And I know that it's a journey, but it's one that I'm committed to. And we all got to commit ourselves to it so we can grow stronger as a collective.
Yeah. Yeah, that right there.
Dr.
Yeah,
Clay
you know,
said we are catalysts for it all. Yes, we are. We get things, you know, popping.
That's right. You know, I was reminded, you know, and I have to admit, my mother marched with King, and she was always on the forefront of civil rights in our home. And so we had to know she, and I'm going to admit this, I couldn't have a Caucasian doll in my house. Okay. Now we talking a long time ago. I was born in the 66. And this woman did not give a rat's behind about Barbie, okay? And she said you cannot. That was not coming in the house. Now she traveled. She and my dad would travel around to different countries, and she'd bring back dolls of color as like a little porcelain statue so that I could see variety. But in my house, not one. I had every African American doll that was like a Barbie that there was. I had 13 of them, counted them every day. 13 dolls of color in the 60s.
That's amazing.
And
I didn't
so
know there was that many out.
it was, yeah. And I think she really searched out. This is without Google. This is without Amazon. This is without any of these things. This woman was a stickler with you knowing who you are. And I would say, you know, why? And she would say, because you will not see you. You're not going to see you on TV. You're not going to see you in these places. I need you to see you. And I understood as I got older, but it is, like you said, it's empowering to grow up knowing a portion of history, knowing a portion of who you are, gathering this information and allowing that to stick with you. You do have a sense of purpose. And that's what it's about. It's about having a sense of purpose. So then when she made me, can you imagine the woman who did not allow me to have a Caucasian doll? Forced me to go, she and my father, to a Caucasian school for high school, the first year and a half. And I begged them. She said, you need to know, because at the time, we got to admit, when we did have progress and what that progress looked like. But in the 70s, if you grew up in Detroit, then you had that view of African Americans everywhere. Why? Because they own gas stations. We could walk down to the Shell gas station. The man was a Black owner of the Shell gas station. They had ownership of car dealerships. You had things happening in the city. Why? Because they had voted that if you were going to work in government within the city, you had to live in the city. So then all around Detroit, all I saw was me. When you went to the city offices, I saw me. Then that didn't change until what changed? Policy. It voted for that. Voted that out. Come on, Detroit. Because my mother was upset about it. And I couldn't even vote at that time, but I was angry too, because she told me, she informed me what was happening politically and how this policy change was going to affect the police department, the fire department. And we changed it. Why? Because we wanted to blend in. We wanted to move out to the suburbs. We wanted to be considered. We wanted to be able to work in the city, but not live in the city. We forgot the purpose of a thing. We have to get back to purpose. We got to get back to purpose. And so when you grow up like that, and she said, and I begged, because once I got there, I was shocked that outside of Detroit, this was happening. So here I am in the school being shocked, right? Getting bagels thrown at me on Bagel Day on Tuesday and Wednesday because I was Black. But they said, both parents said they had a united front regarding this. And they said, if you do well and you excel, then you can go to another school, which I wanted to so bad. And so I did. But it took me getting straight A's. It took me just in that first year staying focused. And they voted me class president, but it wasn't because I blended. It was because I stood upon who I was, and they couldn't shake me. You're going to listen to my music if you're in my car, because I had my little hoopty that I would dress. It's not like today. It was only $150. They want to be able to get to school, get to practice, and get back. Mm-hmm. And all of this, but it did help me to be able to communicate. I'm going to say this one story, and that was my math teacher. I'll never forget her. I won't say the name, but she was prejudiced. I came in one day, and the class asked, she forgot I was in the classroom. They asked, did you see the awards last night? And she said, I was watching it till those colored people got on there trying to sing. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
And I said to myself, self, what are you going to do? Because, see, my father knew the principal, and she knew she could be fired immediately. But I decided, let me just raise my hand. Well, what color were they? She turned beet red. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew she was sorry. Mm-hmm. It's an opportunity for me to negotiate. Mm-hmm. Do I just get her fired? Mm-hmm. Or B, not do any work the rest of the year? Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And what you did was really powerful, because you made her say it plain. What color were they? That innocence. And so Cesar Joy Moon, who was the top DEI chief person, for the United States, and she was fired last year. So let's be clear on that too. But anyway, she was fired last year because they didn't have the money or whatever. And she said that she doesn't say DEI. Every time she says a mouthful, whatever, diversity, equity, and inclusion. When people say they are against DEI, she said, what part of it? Is it the diversity? Is it the equity? Or is it the inclusion? What part don't you agree with?
That's right. And you know, surprisingly, I still would study, but I tested to see what she was going to do. So you know what I did? I purposely only answered 2 questions on the test. Just because I needed to, at that point, usurp my own power. Because what you're not going to do is do this in front of the classroom and expect not to pay a price. So you're going to be accountable. Make it my way, though. I got an A. I got an A on every test and barely answered. Sometimes we just put my name on it. I hate to admit that today, and children, if you're watching, please don't do this.
But your story, Revertia, is making me think about Val and her video this week about, you know, her baby, and she was saying, well, Trisha, you probably know, but she was saying the teacher told the students, I listened to my King Donald Trump said the best speech ever, or whatever he said to these students. And I was, you know, totally appalled listening to this video that, you know, this is 2025 and we're talking about your King Donald Trump, but you're saying this in front of these students, Black young men, you know, impressionable. Why are you even teaching here? And so we know where your mindset is. You in the wrong school district, sir. And so I like, you know, what she was saying, that she's going to go do a speech and she's going to let them know, you know, how she felt, you know, and then, but not only stop with the principal.
And did.
She's going to the superintendent, and she's going to the meetings, and that's, you know, and she's standing on business of and that's what we need to do. Who's teaching your kids? Who's putting these narratives out? Who's letting them know these things that are okay and or not okay? And that's on us. We can't wait for systems to do this, or the, you know, the principle. We have to take control of that. And I think that's where the disconnect is. We got so comfortable with letting somebody else
disrespect us and play with us that we just, well, you know, we'll figure out a way around it. There is no way around it. When you keep sweeping something under the rug, eventually the rug is going to have a big bulge of dirt in the middle of it. There's no way around it. This teacher also told them, what did he say? He said something to them about because they didn't want to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem. I mean, he was in there just clowning. And the interesting part about it is one of the youth actually spoke up and said this wasn't right and told their parent. And then that got the ball rolling into other parents and Valerie finding out what happened. And they got up to that school and they told them, we on the way. I wish they wouldn't have told them they was on the way, but they got that man out of there. They got that man out of the school. He won't be back to that school. And she did write a letter to the contract company, because that's what it is. He contracts with this company and then they place him at different schools. So they need to totally end his contract. So we'll be writing letters. There's going to be a letter writing campaign to write letters because they need to monitor who they are sending into these schools to teach our youth. I mean, again, it's not our fault that he landed in there, but it's our responsibility that now that we know he's there and we have to follow it through. He can't go to another school.
Right.
No. And you know, we got to take it to the Attorney General.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times there's a list. And teachers have to abide by that list in the treatment of children. And if that person, especially if they have received any kind of trauma, if it's regarded as abuse, come on, or neglect, then they won't be able to teach again. It's the same thing with social work. You won't be a social worker. You won't be a psychologist. You won't be a doctor. But we may have to take it higher to stop that. Because otherwise, you know what they're going to do, just like they do with the police. Send them to another department.
Right. And he out here saying this crazy stuff again. So before I play this video, the last one today, Amithia says, how do we educate the truth to the people more and to make significant changes in our community? So I say, for me, having conversations. I think that's where the disconnect is. We don't even talk to each other anymore. We talk about all the crazy stuff, what's going on with the housewives, who else, in the Kardashians, whatever. We talk about all the stuff that don't really make any sense, don't pay us, don't finance us, we know all of that. But when it comes to things important, we don't have those conversations. We steer away from them. Oh, it's going to be just this is how it is now, well, it's always been that way. And so we, like Trisha just said, we just sweep it under the rug. We don't have any conversations about it. And then now it's until it becomes a big mess and everybody's wondering, what should we do? We need to have these conversations. We need to invite our families over just to talk. Or just watch this. Just watch different platforms and have conversations afterwards. What you think about this? What did you think about that? And those things, just the conversation in itself is a big thing because we're not having them. We're too busy fighting each other and being divided over petty little things than even just having a conversation where we can find something in common and then work our way back, But as long as we're not talking to each other, as long as we're not telling the truth, we're going to be lost in the sauce. So I say, for me, we educate our people to the truth by first having a conversation, being a listener. Not so quick, because some people don't listen. They talk or they have conversations to get their next point across. But really listening to people and finding where the disconnect is, and then with love, bringing information, So I think that's, and I think it's not, I listen to a lot of people and they always talk about the youth this and the youth that, but it is some grown old people that is out here on some magical craziness that we need to have some conversations, because you ain't acting right. Everybody that's looking at you ain't acting right. So some of you, it ain't always just the young, it's a lot of older folks that's out here that need to we need to pull them to the side and have a conversation, because they're doing more harm than good.
We need a community conversation because it's too many of them. For real, that's a big problem around here too. It's been our seniors, and everybody be like, oh, that's little auntie such and such, and oh, that's little such and such and such and such. I don't give a darn who they are. Okay, with all due respect, they wrong. They taking a magical approach. They putting our necks on the chopping block, and it's not okay. I don't know what it is that some of our seniors want to die in their position. They want to die. We had somebody running for mayor. They was 82. Ma'am, Thank you for your service. For real. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not always thinking people like, oh, that's ageism. No, we have a retirement age, federal retirement age for a reason. Look at why the Congress is we can full of our Caucasian
Oh, crazy people.
Okay. So, you know, we gotta have our seniors to really understand, especially within our community. This is not a battle for you to step down, because you're going to step down or we will unseat you. That's just the bottom line. But how about come alongside? How about share your knowledge? But also understand that you're not telling the next generation what to do.
Right.
You're sharing your knowledge, and then we stand on your shoulders and put in the work the way that God gave it to us.
Right.
I was supposed to do from generation to generation, but we got a whole generation don't want to let it go. And I get it, but you're gonna have to do something, because we are rising and we will not be silenced anymore.
Yeah, and you're right, Trisha, passing that torch. We got to pass the torch. We gotta understand the purpose and pass it down. What good is it if the next generation can't run with it? If they can't run with that knowledge, if they can't grow with that knowledge, what good is it?
It delays. It delays the justice. It delays the justice, and that's why we're kind of behind. We had how long was Biden? You know, that was kind of a waste of time when you have so many others who probably can fulfill those shoes. We operating from, well, this the next person in line. Well, he done waited 50, 60 years. It's somebody else, you know, that we need fresh, with some fresh ideas, with some fresh energy. And we have to be okay with that. I know I used to be, I was an elected official of our union, our local union. And I'm telling you, these people, when you look at who was in charge of the unions, UAW, back in that time, everybody was older, right? Didn't want to listen to anybody younger, but management was getting younger and younger and younger. And they was coming fresh, and they was doing they knew the contract. They know all the stuff because they take, you know, so they was used to, the older union people were so used to working with these older cats and old ways. These new people came up, and now look at them now. They all confused. They just crazy. And there's so much going on with that now. And that's because you waited too long to move people up in space, you know, and you wanted to hold on to these old positions, and you wanted to be the person that's in there 20 years and, you know, talk the lingo. But really, the other people are running circles around you. And that's in a lot of these movements. You get stagnant because you don't want to pass, like you said, the baton. I want to, before we go, because I just found out about this lady. And so I wanted to introduce her because, you know, you guys might know her. I did not. So I want to make sure we introduce her. I thought she was phenomenal. Unita Blackwell.
She was the
first. I found out about her today, and I was like, where have I been? See, that's what I'm talking about. But she was the first Black woman mayor in Mississippi, Mayorville, Mississippi.
Isn't she the only Black woman that's ever been?
The only Black woman, yes.
Yeah.
And she was phenomenal. She was a president. She was, you know, a 5-6 different presidents. She collaborated with them. And so I was looking at her. And so this one of her quotes, and I was like, I want to leave us with this for tonight. Change depends on people knowing the truth. Change depends on people speaking that truth out loud. That's what movements do. Movements educate people to truth. They pass along information and ideals that many others do not know. And they cause them to ask questions, to challenge their own long-held belief. Movements are the way ordinary people get more freedom and justice. Movements are how we keep a check on power and those who abuse it. Unita Blackwell. I love that. I love her.
That's like the whole turning a moment into a movement, like summary right there. She just did the whole charge.
When I read that, I was like, that is us. That's our energy. We're keeping that. you need the
definitely.
I just wanted to uplift the thing with her and was so glad you mentioned her. I haven't thought about her in a long time. Is her movement between like Black folks and Chinese people, because let me tell you something. Just because America decides somebody is an enemy don't mean it's our enemy. China has done I'm not gonna go there because this is gonna be on public. I'm gonna be quiet.
Yes, I love that quote. That I will have to show that every feed that in our thing before we come on, because that's powerful, and those words we should uplift. You know, that should be our energy right now. You know that. So, again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. This was a great conversation about these women. And we're going to have more women, you know, that we're going to talk about throughout this month of Women History Month. I want to also remind you guys that the third Saturday of the month, go ahead, Trisha.
Yeah, so I'm extremely excited and grateful about this third Saturday of the month, which is the 15th. Of March. We are going to be coming together. We're going to have a guest speaker, Andy Williams, who we call a hood candidate. He actually ran a candidacy for president of the United States. And he's getting ready to announce a candidacy for attorney general, I believe. But he is going to be with us this month, and we're looking again at accountability. And there are already rules on the books that can hold folks accountable, but we just have to know what they are and how we move and what we need to do. And so we're going to come together. He will be like a teaching session, a workshop, and we will explore exactly how we can continue this movement of accountability as it pertains to wrongful convictions. The support group, 10 a.m. Just want to love on everyone, let folks know they're not alone. Give folks a space to just be themselves and to share what they're going through and the hope that they have as well. And again, then the task force at 1 p.m. So we hope you all use the links to register so that you can get the Zoom link. And we hope you all will join us.
And also say the date.
Oh, yes. Save the date. IPSY's 5th annual, okay? 5th annual Juneteenth celebration. We are so excited and have been so blessed already to be able to have Grammy Award winning gospel artist Fred Hammond, and we all know her as Lady Sunshine and the X-Band. She will be with us on Saturday, and Fred Hammond will be with us on Sunday. We have so many amazing acts that are going to be live. Saturday is going to be the local lineup, and we got feedback last year. You didn't have enough local people. Okay, well, guess what? We got a whole day just about celebrating our local Black artists that are here in this area. And so, and then on Sunday, we have some amazing acts coming in from out of Detroit. But all in all, this is going to be a community bonding moment like no other. We are accepting vendors and sponsors as well. We would be honored to host your business as a sponsor or even as a vendor. So thank you, Jay, for the space to just uplift this. We are excited. We are moving forward, and we hope you meet us there.
Yeah, also, before we go, we just want you guys to keep Crystal in your prayers. It's a lot going on in Huron Valley, but yeah, we want to keep her in our prayers and our thoughts, Crystal. And, you know, for those who don't know, Crystal is suffering from being the toxic mold inside Huron Valley. And so we've been advocating for her so she can get health care outside of the prison, so-called healthcare center. So if you guys want to, you know, connect with Crystal, here's her information. Crystal Denise Clark, number 433-5064, Women's Huron Valley. Correctional Facility, 3201 Bemis Road, Ypsilanti, Michigan, 48197. And to find out more about Crystal, just go to Linktree, Fighting for Crystal Clark, and you can get all the information and on how to support Crystal and on there. And so before we leave, we're going to do some Leslie. Yes, you brought it up. We're going to do call to action. So we'll start with Leslie. Give us something, call to action from tonight, you know, episode about reclaiming power, the role of Black women.
So I'll just share what outside of my normal actions, one thing that I immediately said that I want to do is anytime I share information about these upcoming, because there's a whole list of boycotts, Amazon boycott coming up, whatever, I want us to center Black lives and what these boycotts or their continuation of business as usual mean for Black people. What is our demand?
Mm-hmm.
So not like, you know, this is not some anti-Trump resistance or whatever Democratic move. No, all of these companies have provided direct harm to our people, and to be just really clear about that, about why we're in it.
Yeah, I like that. Trisha.
Yeah, couple call to actions, but one that I can think of, this nonprofit industry is, when I say colonized, it is the systemic racism and the discriminative acts of blocking funding from organizations. We need nonprofits that you know are doing the work. We need support. We need your dollars. And I hate to put it so plainly, but that's just the way that it is. We need your financial support. We are on the front lines. We are educating the civic education, any kind of education you can think of. I know for sure Survivor Speak, Elbert, with all of these nonprofits that are moving through the community to not empower people, because I hate when people say that. We all have empowerment on the inside. We're just like a match lighting a wick, but we need your help to do it. So I don't have any links to put up, but look up these agencies that are doing the work and please support them. Your dollars, even down to the smallest, make a difference. And then I'm asking us to learn how to stand up. I know that was taken from us. I know that we have been made to think that if we raise our voice or if we get loud or if we operate outside of the realm of whiteness, that we won't be received and it won't be accepted. And I'm here to tell you that you can be accepted for being you. I have not had to waver who I am and who I'm growing to be, because don't think because you know me today that you'll know me tomorrow. So I just encourage us to be ourselves, live in the moment of who we are, but don't be so rigid that you don't want to challenge yourself to grow better every day. You don't have to try to fit into what the realms of whiteness want you to be. That's a hard job. It's a hard job to wear the cloak of whiteness as if it's yours and deny the very culture that is burning deep inside your soul. Be yourself. And the more you find out who you are, use that power to stand 10 toes down alongside the collective for your people. We need you. We need a whole you, though. We don't need the part of you that doesn't understand who you are. We don't need the part of you that finds the need to assimilate deeper and deeper into whiteness. I respect and I honor our Caucasian siblings, but I want to stand 10 toes down on my Blackness, and I bid us all to do the same.
Tia, what's your call to action?
Well, I could say that my sister just said it all. So I wrote down on my paper, like you again. Like you again. Learn to love yourself again and redirect your focus, because whatever you focus on will expand. So if you're focusing on the negative all the time, if you're focusing on the oppressor, then you're not focusing on what you can do. You're not focusing on your community. You're not focusing on the essence of the community, which is the family. Love you again. Learn to love you. Some people haven't even loved themselves. They don't even know how or where to begin. Ask. You have a guidance system within you. You can ask, and the answer will come if you're still enough. If you can be still and know. Be still and know that power. Be still and know God. And learn who you are. You are a powerful vibration. You vibe. You bring to you according to what you are exposing and expanding and emanating to the world. That's who you are. And guess what? You're going to get that like thing. So those of you who are Bible toters, you're going to, if you call whatever you cultivate, that's what's going to grow. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a man soweth, he shall also reap. She shall also reap. So what are you focusing on? Begin to focus on the possibilities. Begin to focus on opportunities. Begin to focus on the fact that you are not powerless, but you are powerful. And that even when you don't know, there are people who do know, and that you can be in the right place at the right time and attract you to these people to accomplish whatever you need. Love you again. Like you again.
Yes. Thank you, Tia. So for me, I think it's important that we support Black women-led movements. Yeah. It's essential for achieving justice and liberation. Amplify Black women voices. Follow, share, and uplift Black women activists and Black women-led platforms and scholars and community organizers. Like Trishé said, financially support Black women-led organizations or Black organizations. There's an attack on nonprofits right now. So they need donations. So especially those that's focused on radical justice, abolition, liberation, community care. Those are the places where we need support. Support those. Educate your others. Educate yourself and others. Educate yourself and others. Pick up a book. Read books. I've been reading books, but also when I've been listening to books. Pick up a book. We got to turn some of this craziness off. I was telling that to Reverend Tia, I don't even know what's going on because I've been reading books. So pick up a book. Show up and take action. Attend rallies and protests and get involved, especially those that women-led movements. Get involved. And then be a part of change and challenge and dismantling oppressive systems. We all have a job to do. I know, find your space, find your niche, and get in there and do the work. Like, it's going to take all of us. We're like 14% of the population. So it's absolutely going to take all of us, and those little things that's dividing us and those magicals, hey, we got to do the work anyway. I know Sam always said, and I just, repeat it's the few that's always standing up for the many. So we have to stand up and be a part of the movements. And I guess that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you taking this time out with us. I guess we'll see you next Friday. We have a very powerful conversation for next week. And so I'm glad that we're doing this Black Liberation conversation. And so that's it, you guys. And I'll see you next week. Turning a moment into a movement.
Just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Just a light of mine. Just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit. All I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for it. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? Do you know what it is? And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine a little light of mine, huh? Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, Week. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV, ooh-wee, cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.